qualifying position. He is filtered back now to the number 11 spot. Derek Daly, always an anxious moment now as this field circulates for a final time. They'll be anticipating a green flag, and those butterflies hopefully will settle quickly.
Oh, you hope they settle quickly. We heard Jack Baldwin say he wants to lead that first lap. However, Scott Sharp also wants to lead that first lap.
Baldwin picked up a bonus point for being on the pole. He wants to lead a lap to get another bonus point. Sharp wants to do the same. You see the top 5. They've made the turn off 14. They're coming up the hill. They'll be looking for the green flag momentarily. They climb the hill here in a very controlled pace. The alignment looks very, very good. It's a 3,600-foot straightaway, and look how tight they are as they almost lean on each other coming down. And now the green flag is displayed, and we're racing at Road America. That critical first turn. Who will it be? Which of the teammates will lead them into the corner? Baldwin with the inside, of course, has the line, but here comes Sharp in the 33 car, and Sharp from the outside will take the lead into the first of 14 turns on this circuit. A bit of a surprise, perhaps, because the young, aggressive Sharp has jumped out in front. Baldwin running second. You see then that it's Pickett who holds the number 3 spot as they wend their way through the first series of curves. Will actually be moving uphill and downhill around this great circuit.
And a surprise move there that he was able to pull that off so easily. Scott Sharp went down the outside of Jack Baldwin. Baldwin absolutely had the advantage, however, did not brake late enough.
Down through the shadows now. They come toward the turn 5. They'll swing to the left, and then they'll go back uphill. A series of turns and into the famed carousel. It's a great circuit that they compete on here. You can see the field nicely strung out. There is Pickett running third. Robinson in the 74 car races in the number 4 position now. Aligned almost as they started. Nobody breaking away to any advantage just yet.
And you can get a real good idea of how much racetrack these cars use. You can see exiting the corners, they go right off the racetrack, up onto the curb, onto the rumble strips. We get a good look here at George Robinson in the Camaro chasing very hard. That is
Greg Pickett.
Greg Pickett runs so well, ran so well in qualifying to start inside second row.
Greg Pickett, who in fact won a race on this particular circuit back in the 70s in the heyday of his early Trans Am career. He won in 1978. Right now running in third, chasing the teammates up front, led by Scott Sharp. Now back in the pass. Back in the pack, we're watching Ron Fellows and Jim Durhog having a battle.
Oh, see what he did? He slides down the inside. This is under heavy braking for Canada corner. Now, Ron Fellows did not have a good qualifying session. Blew the engine up at the critical time and started way further back down the grid than he would have liked. But a great passing move there on Jim Durhag. The car bobs and weaves as he slides down the inside.
Takes over the number 5 position. He, as we mentioned, has been a contender in so many events this year, has been dogged with a lot of frustration. And he has made his initial move, the first pass of the competition, as we've completed now the first lap. Let's go back and take a look now at the move here when Fellows made the pass.
This is 175 miles an hour down this long back straight. Now look at the way the car bumps over this bumpy inside section. See how close it is to the ground, bobs and weaves, and moves across a little bit. Jim Durhag has nothing else to do but release the line to Ron Fellows. Very good, nice, clean move.
Now we're taking a look at Stevens in the 65 car and the black 65. He's closing on the 40 car of Durhag, trying to close it up and perhaps make a challenge there as well. So Durhag not experiencing the best of opening laps in that battle for 6th place. He has lost a spot to Fellows and now being challenged by Stevens, who had his best qualifying effort as he started in the number 6 position in car number 65. Oh, here's problems. Bobby Archer is off the course, and dramatically off the course. We assume that he has pulled back off behind the safety barrier. That is what we understand. So Bobby Archer, who had all kinds of problems yesterday, had his qualifying time disallowed because he did not stop for a technical inspection, and then got back in and started this race today in the 7th spot in the grid, experiences difficulty on the 2nd lap, and apparently is through for the afternoon. There's a stunning surprise. Scott Sharp, meanwhile, continues to set the pace. Bobby Archer, the Archer brothers, have had quite a season. And we understand that he blew an engine. He was 2nd in the last race in Quebec and has had some strong finishes this year, 4 times in the top 5, but that will not be the case today at Road America.
The Again, this is this long back straight, Gary. That's the second of the Dodge cars. That's Tommy Archer trying to make it up. But look at Jim Stevens again. Closes up even closer now to Jim Derhaag. So Jim Stevens, you mentioned it earlier, had his best qualifying. Now he is shadowing Jim Derhaag. You see the brake lights there. They dab the brakes before they turn left under that bridge. But look at Stevens now. Under braking closes up.
He has been at only 3 Trans Am events this season, so he doesn't have as much time in the car as most of the other drivers, the regulars on the tour, but he is making his presence felt here in the early going. Now Robinson at 74 has Fellows moving now to the inside, headed toward that first turn, and we'll see if Ron Fellows can make up another pass here. Robinson, using up some racetrack, appears to have the line, and Robinson will hold the position at least for the moment.
And you can see what he was going to try and do. The same thing under braking, trying to slide down the inside. Did not get close enough, but Robinson was very, very late on the brakes and didn't allow Fellows to sneak down into that inside line.
And that battle that we're seeing right there, Robinson at 74, Fellows at number 4, 6 seconds behind the pace being set by the leader, Scott Sharp. Baldwin still runs second. Pickett is third. Now we see Robinson running in the 4th spot, and he is followed by Ron Fellows in car number 4. That's your top 5 in the early going here. This 100-mile Trans Am competition continues to hold the lead, but look at the pressure he's experiencing from teammate Jack Baldwin, the season points leader, right off the rear bumpers. You see the brake lights flicker on momentarily, and Pickett running third is only about 4 or 5 car lengths off that pace. Derek, you were making an interesting point here about the value of starting from the pole position.
Well, Jack Baldwin had a huge advantage because he had the inside line with that pole position right off the start. However, he did not brake late enough. And now look at the monumental job he has to try and pass Scott Sharp. And we can clearly see he is as fast as him. But the race story, as we can see it now, it revolves around that first corner. Jack Baldwin, let Sharp get off the hook.
Here come the leaders. Pickett running third. Now the battle for 4th coming by right now. Fellows has moved past, it appears, has moved into the 4th spot. He got by George Robinson, so Fellows has picked up a couple of positions. He has been the man who's been making the early move. Fellows, the Canadian driver in that Mustang, has picked up a couple of spots. And now another fight developing. Deborah Gregg flashes by, and we're back at mid-pack now as Randy Ruhlman right behind Gregg.
That's Randy Ruhlman right behind Deborah Gregg. Great quartet of cars here. We see that's Michael Dingman in the Roush car. Michael Dingman, 61 years of age. He's the oldest competitor here. Had a frightening moment in Thursday's test session here when he lost control going through the kick. But look at the back of the lead here.
Pickett has closed up, and we've got a 3-car fight now as they sweep into that right-hand turn. The race for the lead. So action all over the track at mid-pack. Gregg had her hands full in a race for 10th place, but up front, Sharp has his hands full, obviously, right now, trying to hold off not only Baldwin, but now Gregg Pickett is right there. 3 cars, virtually nose to tail at the front of the field.
Oh, look at Baldwin. He's going to have a little sneaky look down the inside. It's under braking. Then he's going to try it down here, Gary.
Let's see what happens now as they run literally side by side. Advantage goes to Baldwin. Here comes Pickett. We have our first lead change, and Jack Baldwin, who started from the pole, lost it going in the race to the first turn, is now back on top. Sharp now runs second, and racing third, and a solid third it is Gregg Pickett.
Oh, we see the little dab of the brakes. That's all they use, just a tiny dab of brakes just to settle the car to go through that right-hand kink. But what a great move by Jack Baldwin. He tried it at the end of the pit straight at turn 1, couldn't get it done. Eventually down at turn 3, he did get it done. Here's a replay. Now, this is the back straight again. It's above 165 miles an hour. Now, look at Baldwin. He's already committed down to the inside. Now, all he needs to get alongside Sharp, and Sharp cannot turn in. He's alongside now. Sharp cannot turn in. Baldwin has the line. But look at Pickett. He tried to sneak down the inside.
He almost got his nose in there, didn't he? Excellent racing for the lead up front with Baldwin now on top. And also notice how much Fellows has closed in as well as Robinson. This is developing into a 5-car fight now instead of a 3-man battle. We've got 5 strong contenders here. And this is the kind of racing we have seen virtually all season long in the SCCA Thai Trans Am Tour. Now, let's go to the pits, and we'll check in with Jan Beekes. Jan?
Well, Gary, Buzz McCall owns those two cars that are dicing for first and second place. As a former driver, how does that make you feel?
Well, I know Jack really wants to lead a lap. And there he goes. He leads this lap right now for his 1 point. These two guys are racing each other, as you can see on the monitor. And you know the team orders. You know, we don't want anybody taking each other out, but they're both running to win.
Well, it's getting heated up there, so let's get back upstairs. Gary?
Well, you might want to tell Buzz, Jan, that Sharp has just dropped back now to third, and Pickett has moved into the number 2 spot. So Greg Pickett, with a bit of muscle in that colorful number 6, has moved into the 2nd spot. And Fellows and Robinson right behind Sharp, so it continues to be a great 5-car fight here on this scenic course under ideal conditions today at Road America. Couldn't ask for better weather for this race, and this crowd enjoying nose-to-tail competition. Only 2 seconds separating the top 5 contenders.
And let me tell you something, Jack Baldwin is going to have his hands absolutely full very shortly, because Greg Pickett is flying. That car is running extremely well. He likes this car. It's a new car, one of the new Riley Scott chassis. Got all the latest developments, basically an evolution of the Chevrolet Beretta car that Kendall ran last year. But Pickett looks to me to be very, very strong.
And more from Jan Beekes now in the pits.
Well, Derek, when you talk about Greg Pickett, keep in mind he has a 335 cubic inch engine, whereas the cars he's racing with have the 310. That you can keep in mind when you watch their speed down the straightaway. But Greg Pickett, as a result, has to carry an extra 100 pounds. Could be harder on the tires. Definitely something to keep an eye on down those straightaways.
And that's one of the beauties of Trans Am racing, because they have this formula. If you go to the bigger power plant, you pay a weight penalty. And they've managed to make it so very competitive no matter what type of circuit they're on. But this is a very interesting factor here, as Pickett now, with that bigger engine, particularly on the straights, will try to overhaul Baldwin.
And another man on the move. Ron Fellows is now third. So Scott Sharp moving even further back as we move back again and pick up this great battle with Deborah Gregg and Michael Dingman.
Dingman has moved ahead of Ruhlman now, so Dingman has picked up 1 spot. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th that we're watching those 3 cars.
I tried to get it in earlier on, but Michael Dingman had a terrible time here in the practice session.
Let's go back up here. Hold it for a moment, because Pickett now with that straightaway horsepower advantage. The bigger engine has taken the lead. The man who won here 14 years ago in 1978, who last won on the Trans Am Tour in 1989 in Detroit, has the lead now at Road America. So he is our 3rd different leader of the day. The battle continues. Fellows is running a stout 3rd. Sharp has been shuttled back to 4th. We've got a dandy going here at Man on the Move. The battle back in the back. He muscled his way past Ruhlman and now past Deborah Gregg. Ruhlman also slides through as Gregg now drops back 2 positions. Derek, you were trying to tell us about Michael Dingman and what happened to him earlier.
But there is so much going on here, it's hard to get it in. But we saw Dingman actually did hit Deborah Gregg at the kink. That's what happened last Thursday. Dingman went off the road at the kink, got backwards, was in the middle of the road, and Deborah Gregg came around and absolutely plowed into the car, caused a lot of trouble, a lot of hard work for the mechanics. But Dingman was okay, and we can see now he's actually running very, very well.
He has moved up into the 10th position, stretching it out a bit. Let's go back now and check on our leaders up front. Let's see how things are rolling. Well, this is still Dingman for the moment here. Our leader is Greg Pickett. Pickett moved past Baldwin just prior to the last break. Now we've got a car that is Philip Bartelt, who has made a move off course, the Milwaukee driver on a Mustang. He hit the wall in a practice session yesterday. Had a little bit of an adventure here, but he's got it back under control and moving swiftly along the front straightaway. One of those who's back a bit in the pack, car number 92, Phil Bartelt. Now we get back to our leaders. Let's take a look here as we see them sweeping in position. And let's go back here now and take a look at how it transpired when we saw Pickett make the move to get by Baldwin to take the lead.
Here's the replay. Now look what happens here. Remember, Pickett is in a heavier car, but it's still better under braking. Now look, he goes inside Baldwin. Baldwin can do nothing except give Greg Pickett the line. Nice, clean, smooth pass to take the lead.
Has about 25 more cubic inches roughly than the power plant that's being used by Baldwin, who carries the extra 100 pounds of weight as a result, but he made it pay off as he grabbed the lead. Under new rules in the SCCA, data acquisition systems are now a part of many of these Trans Am cars, and Jan Beekes has more in this track fact.
In Trans Am racing, starting at the Watkins Glen round, SCCA has now allowed onboard telemetry systems in the Trans Am cars. Many of the teams were already using them in testing, but were not allowed to do so in the races. Now they may. If you look on board Ron Fellows' Mustang, you can see across here in the McKenzie car, there is what's called the Commander Control Box, done by Peter Kelly. If we also look closely up front, you can see here that there's a belt that is moved by the steering wheel. In other words, that would give an input on one of the channels as the steering input. There's 12 total channels. They can do everything from shock movements to lap times, and here the final one that we would look at would be the beacon. That is, every time it goes by the start-finish line, it would give you a lap time as well as all kinds of other information that is keyed on each lap on the circuit. Now, to keep the cost down of this system, the rule reads for SCCA, any competitor can come and buy this system for $5,000.
Now, here's a problem for Stevens. Stevens, who had some early muscle and looked like he might have a chance to contend after his best qualifying effort of the year, has pulled his car off course and coasts to a stop behind the barrier. So it appears that Jim Stevens out of Farmington Hills, Michigan, his day complete in the Ford Mustang. Tough break for Stevens, competing only for the 4th time this season. It made a very strong showing, but his day is over. Meanwhile, we've got this nose-to-tail freight train going here. 5 cars continuing to show the way at Road America at Elkhart Lake. Out on the point in car number 6, Greg Pickett, who 14 years ago got a Trans Am victory on this circuit. Second features Baldwin at 25, Fellows in number 4, then it's Sharp, an early leader in number 33, followed by George Robinson in 74. Those 5 have opened up just a bit of daylight, but nobody is dominating the action. Ron Fellows has been a strong contender in the early going. His car owner now alongside Jan Beekes in the pits.
That's right, Gary. Tom Goy owns that car, and you've had nothing but trouble earlier in the weekend, but now it looks like it's coming good after that trouble.
Yeah, it hasn't been a real smooth weekend, Jan. We've had some engine problems and some gearbox problems. Ron's done a super job. I think we just happened to hit the right combination in the one lap of qualifying that we got, and it's showing right now. Ron's still got some in reserve, so this could be interesting.
Thank you, Tom. Gary?
Well, indeed, Ron Fellows, who won at Lime Rock, has had kind of an up-and-down type of season. He feels that he can be a race contender at every venue, and he has shown his muscle here today. The field up front averaging just over 104 miles per hour. Every once in a while, Derek, you get the feeling that Pickett opens up an extra car length there, but he can't really escape from anybody thus far.
He can't quite pull away. We see the gap now pretty even, but I think Jack Baldwin is looking behind him more so than he's looking ahead of him. I don't believe he thinks he has the speed to challenge Pickett again for the lead right now. So he's more concerned with that blue Ford and McKenzie Mustang that's looming larger in his mirrors, particularly under braking.
Camaros run 1 and 2. It's a Mustang that races 3rd, and a Camaro in the number 4 spot, and for that matter in the number 5th position, or number 5 position. Remember, Chevrolet with a top 6 finish today will clinch the manufacturer's championship for 1992. Derek, it's interesting to look back to this race a year ago, because Scott Sharp clinched the individual driving championship with a win here last year. He led the opening stages of the race, then backed off the pace, came on late and led the final 6 laps for the win. And you were mentioning, you wonder if he's protecting his tires, and you wonder how much that will come into play before this one is over.
Well, Scott Sharp seems to be the type of driver that's mechanically sympathetic. What I mean by that is he's able to protect his engine, gearbox, and particularly his tires. And many, many times we have seen Scott Sharp drop back. He let half the race go by while he burns some fuel off, maybe lets things settle down, and then suddenly he comes on strong again. And we have seen him win races that way in the past.
Walter Payton in the Bud car, number 34, makes a move past Deborah Gregg to take over a spot. He has moved up now to 11th on the grid. Payton, of course, that number 34, that's the famous jersey number that he wore for so many great years with the Chicago Bears as an NFL star. And he is really starting to find his way now in Trans Am racing. He has become much stronger as this season has moved on. And now in the 9th stop of the 11-race tour, he has moved up challenging for the top 10. He's 45 seconds behind this leading group, however, and it continues to be a 5-car group led by Greg Pickett. Oh, we've got a car. Bartelt is off the course. Bartelt has caught the marbles, and boy, you get the rear wheels in there, and he may have a tough time getting out. That's pea gravel in there, and he can spin. You can see that it's working on both sides now. Now digs his way clear. He will get back on course, but that's his second off-course excursion today. But Phil is managing able to keep it going here, even though he's well back in the pack.
And lucky to get away with that, because if that car had gone any further into that gravel, it's designed to actually absorb the energy and stop the car and hold it. It's very hard to get out. Luckily, he didn't get in too deep. We're back with Deborah Gray.
This is a race for 12th place. Mark Peelsticker in the black number 99, right behind Deborah Gregg. Deborah, who's had a couple of strong finishes herself this year, struggling a bit today in the number 2 car. She was 4th earlier this season at Des Moines, trying to bounce back from a 21st place finish in Quebec in the last race. And right now, this is the race for 12th, featuring Greg and Mark Peelsticker. Peelsticker in the black number 99.
And I spoke to Deborah right after practice. She was reasonably happy, but she just feels she's not able to get consistently enough track time to really hone what she believes is the ultimate out of herself and the car. However, she's still having a reasonably good race, and miles make it the man. So the more laps she can do, the more track time she'll get here. Oh, look at Fellows again. We got to keep a real close eye on him.
Right there, isn't he? He is right off that back bumper. Every once in a while, he kind of pokes his nose down in there to make sure that he really fills up Baldwin's mirrors. But this is the kind of racing we have seen right down to the checkered flag, event after event this year. In fact, the last 2 races have been won by Baldwin on the very last lap. Well, he's in position for similar heroics today. Pickett's got other ideas, however, as he leads the 5-car procession.
And of course, Ron Fellows has to be aware that Scott Sharp is absolutely right behind him, so he can't make a mistake either.
Pickett is your leader. Baldwin continues to run. Who had been leading the competition in car number 6 suddenly slows and pulls off the paved racing surface. What a heartbreaking moment for Greg Pickett. Designs of winning again after winning here in 1978, had muscled his way from the 2nd row into the lead early, but now his day appears to be complete. Baldwin, your new leader. Fellows now runs 2nd. Sharp is 3rd. Robinson is 4th. And what had been a 5-car battle is suddenly reduced to 4 contenders. What a disappointment this has to be for the veteran driver and former Trans Am champion Greg Pickett.
Really terrible disappointment, because it's not very often you get a car as good as he had for a race situation. He really had control of this situation, but however, the ball game now is totally changed, because Jack Baldwin, and we said it in the opening, the omen might be good if he could win this, but Ron Fellows now knows 1 pass and he could be leading this.
Let's go to the pits and this update from Jan Beekes.
Well, Gary, the reason we lost Greg Pickett, our leader, the engine is gone. That's all he said over the radio. He pulled off the course. Another engine, another car out of the race.
And now a challenge for 2nd place. Sharp takes a look on Fellows. Can't get it done. Fellows, who had led early, right in the middle of the sandwich now of the teammates. Remember, it's Baldwin who leads by 7 points over Sharp, and Sharp needs to get back up there in a contending spot. He looked like he had an opportunity, couldn't quite get it done on that particular corner.
And this is not what Ron Fellows needs. He needs to concentrate on catching Jack Baldwin. If he has to drive defensively by moving over to try and stop Scott Sharp, then Baldwin can keep creeping away.
Baldwin won the pole at an average of better than 108 miles per hour. The race average closing up on 105 miles per hour at this stage. And now these 3 have opened up a bit of breathing room over Robinson in the 74 car. He's dropped a few lengths back, still there, however, in 4th place.
And we mentioned it earlier, Scott Sharp is very good at saving his car, and it's from the 2nd half of the race on that he gets strong. So it's interesting that Sharp now looks as if he's beginning to put a challenge on Ron Fellows, but saving his car, particularly his tires, is what Scott Sharp is good at. But Fellows is not losing anything to Baldwin. Looking under braking right under the rear bumper of that Chevrolet.
And Fellows is the man who's made up the most ground today. Remember, he started in the 4th row, the number 8 spot. He currently runs second. He did lead briefly, and right now he is trying all the tricks to get by Jack Baldwin. And Baldwin, who so desperately wants a Trans Am championship for 1992, doing everything he can to hold off the challenges. And if either one of them bobbles, Sharp in position to pounce.
And a pressure-packed situation for Jack Baldwin, leading the race, a race that could bring him the coveted Trans Am championship. And now Ron Fellows in a Ford Mustang is absolutely all over him, putting the pressure on all the time. Difficult situation for a driver. You cannot make a mistake because you can lose everything. But Fellows knows he's got to push him all the way and hopefully try and pressure him into a mistake.
Great speed shots down through the kink. We've been talking about the importance of saving tires. Let's talk about tire compounds with Jan Beekes in the pit.
Gary, in the SCCA Trans Am here, they have to make those tire declarations. You'll look here, this says 430. That is what the front three cars, they have 3 of those on the car, but up top here is an R600. The top 3 cars have that on the left rear. Interestingly, the 4th place car is George Robinson. He's gone much more conservative. The 600's a harder tire. He's laying back right now. That could be a good car at the end of the race. If you have those 430s, those top 3 cars, you might have to be real careful what tire wear.
Yeah, we're about beyond halfway through the race, and you wonder how those compounds will come into play, Derek.
Well, you could ask yourself, well, why don't we just use soft compounds everywhere? Well, soft compounds do give more grip, but they also wear out faster. So it's a touch-and-go situation whether a soft compound can last the full length of the race on full fuel load. And when you really trash these cars and put them off the road, like we saw Scott Sharp just did there, bounces that car over the outside curbing.
Kicked up a little dust, but he didn't lose maybe more than a car length. But Fellows is the man who really keeps applying the pressure. Now here he comes. This is a battle for the lead, and he just blows by as they sweep into that left-hand corner. Terrific move, perfectly timed by Ron Fellows, who's back on top.
Oh, great move. I'm surprised how easily he got that accomplished. He shot down the inside of Jack Baldwin. Baldwin could do nothing about it. He was on the outside line, and I'm really surprised that Fellows got the job done as easily as he did. But it was under heavy braking. Here's a replay under heavy. Now look at Fellows right in behind Baldwin, right up behind him. Shoots down the inside. It's a downhill run here, but now look how fast he goes by under braking. That was a bit of a surprise. Maybe Baldwin knew it was already gone, the position was over, and he let him go on through. But a great move at this stage of the race for Ron Fellows.
And that particular lap where that move was made is the fastest lap that's been run thus far in the competition. We get a look at the Fellows crew. Tom Gloy, of course, who owns the car. We heard from him earlier. That was 2 minutes 14 and a fraction seconds on that lap for Fellows, who is the fastest lap of the race. He now also is back in the race lead. Baldwin continues to run in the number 2 spot. His teammate Sharp is 3rd. Robinson is 4th. And now Tommy, we're watching the leaders. It's Fellows on top. Scott Sharp is closed up now on Jack Baldwin. They continue to run virtually nose to tail with 7 laps remaining. We're keeping an eye on the rest of the field. You can see that Tommy Archer has moved up to 5th. Jim Deerhog 6th. Anderson, Dingman, Ruhlman down the line. Walter Payton in the top 10 for the 3rd time this year. Chevrolet today with an opportunity to clinch the 1992 Manufacturers Championship. Looking strong, but it's a Mustang who has the overall lead, driven by Ron Fellows. Now, we mentioned that Manufacturers Championship. Let's get an update from Jan Beekes again in the pits.
Well, Gary, we talk about manufacturers, but it's interesting, the top 5 cars, although they're different manufacturers, the exact same Riley and Scott chassis. So when we talk manufacturers, the engine and the body style that makes the difference, but all atop the very same chassis. Gary?
We've got a car off course. Brumder in the 01 car. John Brumder has come sliding off in a lot of smoke and steam. Was running in 13th position. Don't know if he's going to be able to get restarted or not, but John Brumder has found a place off the racing surface. The netting goes up. no question, his day is done. It was a 5-car battle. Now it's a 3-car battle with Fellows setting the pace. George Robinson is still 4th. Tommy Archer is 5th to complete your top 5, but they're not in contending positions with the leaders. And of course, we're focusing our attention right now on these 3 men as they continue to pass some of the slower members of the field. And if anybody bobbles or makes a mistake, you know you're going to get gobbled up.
This is where the outbraking happens. This is where they might make an attempt. Look at Shot Sharp. Has a little look down the inside and says, no, not ready to do it this time.
Tucks right back. Now, if that was the last lap, do you think he'd have poked the nose in deeper?
Oh, you have nothing to lose then, but it's too much to lose now if you don't quite get it done. Remember, when you come down the inside, the line to turn into the corner gets much, much sharper. I think we also have to remember, too, Scott Sharp has spun in the last lap of, I believe, the last 2 races.
That's right. The last race at Quebec, it was Sharp and Fellows who spun out on the last lap. Baldwin got the win. And speaking of spinners, here's one now. James Moyer out of Kokomo, Indiana, in his Corvette has found the marbles. He is off the circuit. He was racing in 18th position.
And a perfect name at the back of the car, Beachy, because he's in the sand, he's in the beach.
Now let's go back and check up with Jan Beekes for some more on the Sharp situation in the last couple of races. Jan?
Well, in those races, Gary, you will remember that under pressure, when it was right down to the final lap, Scott Sharp found himself off the course. Speaking with the team owner, Buzz McCall, he says you'll see a different strategy this time. The reason he's pushing Jack Baldwin, he wants Jack Baldwin to go up and push Ron Fellows to let them fight it out, because it's been Jack Baldwin in the past that's let the front 2 guys run into trouble and gone for victory.
Interesting. Buzz McCall, who's the owner of the American Equipment Racing team, said that this season has really exceeded all expectations. He thought it was going to be so competitive that they'd be lucky to win. Well, each of his drivers, Baldwin and Sharp, has 2 wins to each credit this season. And as for team orders, well, he says we always race hard, but the key is to not put yourself or your teammate in any jeopardy. Coming down the front brake, no change up front. Again, contending with a bit of traffic. Fellows continues to set the pace. Baldwin, Sharp runs 2nd and 3rd. Rumble unable to make the pass, but once again he was eyeballing the scenario, seeing whether or not he could move up and contend and take the 2nd spot away from his teammate. We continue to watch a torrid 3-car battle here at Road America.
And Ron Fellows does not have an easy time with this, because Jack Baldwin set the fastest lap of the race about 3 laps ago at a 2:13.9. So Baldwin very much has the speed, but he can't quite get past. But look at this down the inside. But look what Fellows does. He moves to the middle, makes sure Baldwin doesn't want to come down the inside. Then he moves wide and goes through station 5.
These 3 cars, 8 seconds now in front of the 4th place car of George Robinson. Tommy Archer rounds out the top 5, but the focus solely on these 3 men. They've been virtually nose to tail. Lee Morris calling the shots for Ford, and they have committed to a factory Trans Am effort next year. Here's Bill Bartelt. What a day he's had at car number 92. He's gotten himself a lot of TV exposure the tough way, because 3 times we've seen him off course, but every time he's been able to get back on and keep it going. Let's look back now, and maybe we get an eyeball here of what happened for Phil Bartelt in the 92 car.
This is under heavy braking. We've seen a lot of the passes here. Oh, look, he gets that's right. That's
Jay Valentine right behind him in the 54 car may have made the contact, and Bartelt with a bit of a nudge now gets it squared back around.
Difficult way to get television time, but it works.
Well, we were talking about the Ford and the fact that they will have a factory effort in Trans Am next year, we are told. Ford also leading this race, and for Ron Fellows it could be bonus money, because Ford provides their Trans Am drivers this year with a $10,000 bonus to win, $7,500 for 2nd, $5,000 for 3rd. Right now he has the lead. And Derek Daly, does that kind of extra bonus money impact the way you drive a race?
I don't really think in a situation that we have here that you're conscious of the type of bonus money you can get. I think in this situation, these 3 guys know this race is still up for grabs. That's the only thing they think about, trying to get ahead of whoever may be ahead of you. But remember, teammates here, and we were told earlier on, there is no team orders. Just don't take each other off the road. And look at Sharp has another little peek down the inside, but he's not close enough.
But you can't help but wonder, is it going to happen again? The last last 2 races, it's happened on the last lap. The leaders have ended up spinning off course, and somebody has inherited the top spot. Right now, they're lapping 10th place Walter Payton. Payton in the top 10. But right now, his mirror is full of the leaders. It just came, well, actually, his mirrors were full. They just blown right on by.
Fellows is fast because Fellows just set the fastest lap of the race at a 2:13.6. So he comes back to Baldwin's fastest lap and shows that he does have the speed. See the brake lights again, little dab of the brake pedal, back on the power and down this long sweeping straight. Now this is the slowest corner of the racetrack here. Second gear right here, slowest part of the racetrack. The Trans Am cars go through there at about 45 miles an hour.
Roughly 2.5 laps to go here at Elkhart Lake as we go to the pits now. And again, a report on the strategy for the leaders from Jan Beekes.
Well, you know, Gary, we always like to check in to see when the teams turn the cars loose. Looks like Jack Baldwin has been turned loose for a couple laps. Scott Sharp just got the green light, but you see the positions haven't changed too much. Means now it's in the driver's hand. Just because the crew says he can stand on it, the driver sometimes may wait till that final lap to make the big move.
And of course, we saw, here comes Sharp now on the inside. He's making his move for second, gets by his teammate cleanly. Sharp in 33 takes over second. Baldwin trying to come right back, and he does so. He passes in the next corner. Here they are side by side. Contact. Sharp, just like last year, off course, sliding now, coming back into the competition. Well, we thought he was coming back. Now he does get back out. They swapped the position. On the third time, the contact, and Sharp was off course.
Yeah, we said this race was not over yet. Anything can happen when you get cars. Now remember, teammates we have here trying to pass each other side by side, banging door handles. We get a good replay of what happens here. This was a good clean pass. Scott Sharp, he comes down the inside. Now there's a critical area here. He's beside him, but now Sharp goes wide and Baldwin goes up the inside. See this? Oh, it nearly hits him there.
Might have been a nudge.
Now Baldwin side by side. Now he's ahead. Sharp should have given up here. He said, no, I'm going to go. Boom. Loses control here. That's it. Off into the boondocks. And third place, he can still hold on to third place, but he's not going to catch Ron Fellows now. We see another angle here. Baldwin did not give an inch to his teammate, and his teammate goes into the boondocks. However, hopefully for him, for his sake, he can hang on to that third place.
Remember, he had an 8-second advantage over fourth place Robinson. That's enabled him to hang on to the number 3 spot. Now, we may have misled you when we said Sharp spinning as he did last year. Last year, he was involved in contact in a battle, and another driver went off course. Sharp went on and won that race. We didn't mean to mislead in that respect, but this is 3 consecutive races in the final laps where Scott Sharp has found himself in an off-course excursion that may deny him an opportunity to win. And what, you never know, that could end up being the 1 or 2 points that win a championship for Jack Baldwin.
Absolutely. 1 point has won and lost a championship in the past. Look at the tire mark right in front of the number 3 there. That's Jack Baldwin's tire mark. But what a cushion that has now given Ron Fellows in the Ford Mustang. Oh, look at Robinson.
Yes,
in
indeed.
4th place, closing up now on Scott Sharp. I wonder if Sharp damaged that car, or does he have still got good handling?
Well, he had 8 seconds to get restarted and get back out there. He managed to do so, and you can see now that it may turn out to be a race for third place as Robinson flashes by over on the backstretch in car 74. Let's go back to the pits. Buzz McCall again with Jan Beekes.
Well, Buzz, these last few laps in the last couple races have been something else. Now your 2 cars have made contact. You know, do you know much about this?
Well, I really don't, but you know, we've raced as a team here for 2 years, and if they did touch, that's the first time they have in 2 years, which is pretty remarkable. As I told you before, Jack's in the fight of his life, and Scott's digging hard, and they're racing each other tough, that's for sure.
Thank you, Buzz. Gary?
Well, you saw the white flag over the shoulder of Buzz McCall. They are using the white flag now for the first time this season in Trans Am competition, and Ron Fellows was the first man to acknowledge the white flag. Baldwin at 25, racing second. Time now running out for Baldwin, who wants to win his 3rd consecutive race, but Fellows looking for his 2nd win of the year. Baldwin stands to increase his lead to 9 points over Sharp if it finishes in this order, and of course Chevrolet in a position to clinch the championship. Car slowing down. Danielson in the car number 60. Dick Danielson out of Heartland, Wisconsin, slowing it off the pace on the final lap. You see other cars streaming by. Tough break for Danielson. But right now our attention comes back up front, where Ron Fellows, who won at Lime Rock earlier in the year, is hoping now to get his first victory at Road America at Elkhart Lake. And it looks more and more, Derek, like it may be a certainty.
Well, it may be a certainty. It's not over yet. There's just under 2 miles to go, and that's the amount of time Jack Baldwin has to try and catch Ron Fellows. But in fairness, I believe Baldwin will be very conscious of the championship points that he needs. He knows he's well ahead of Scott Sharp here, who's running in third. But look at George Robinson. He may be about to make a challenge for that final rostrum position and take it away from Scott Sharp.
And you could see on that camera move just the relationship between first and second and third and fourth. No challenge from the third and fourth contenders now. It's a two-man battle. Fellows in car number 4, the Canadian driver, looking strong. As the fuel load is lightened, he has consistently turned the fastest laps of the race. He has pushed the race pace up to nearly 106 miles per hour, doing a terrific job now as he senses that the next time up that hill, the checkered flag will be in front of him. Got to be a terrific feeling for Ron Fellows. We mentioned that he's been involved in a couple of these incidents in the recent races. He and Sharp spun in the last lap in Quebec, but right now, no such problem. The checkered is out. Fellows gets the win. Baldwin gets second. We'll watch Sharp now as he tries to hold off Robinson for third place. 1 1/4 seconds separated first and second. Here's Sharp coming by. Hugh will take the third spot. 4th place for Robinson. It's over here as reaction sets in, and a happy Tom Gloy and company in the pits at Elkhart Lake. Are the third place finisher, Baldwin second. Fellows, our winner. We'll talk to him in just a moment. Our coverage today of the Tide Transit here, the third of his career, out of the car, and Jan Beekes is right there.
Ron Fellows, it's your second victory this season. You had all kinds of trouble this weekend, but boy, we'll take it right to the front.
That was hard work. Man, that car, this one's for the guys. These guys, we just had so much trouble. Just little silly things going wrong, and just preventing us from getting track time and really showing us and the rest of them what the car could do. But I was confident going into the race. You know, it was fine in the one lap I did this morning, and I just couldn't be happier. Bob McGraw, you got to show up one of these days.
Thank you very much, Ron.
Thanks, John.
So Ron Fellows enjoys the moment here. This was the pass that gave him the lead for the victory as we check final results. Sharp third, Robinson fourth, Durhag with his second straight top 5 finish. Michael Dingman finishing 6th, Ruman Payton with his best effort in his Trans Am career at 8th, Deborah Gregg and Tommy Archer rounding out the top 10. Terrific efforts on the part today of Ron Fellows, who gets the victory at Lime Rock, backs it up here late in the season with a stretch run. But of course, the man who benefits in the point standings will be Baldwin, who finishes second. Now Chevrolet wrapped up the Manufacturers Championship. Let's go back to Jan Beekes.
Well, it's Ford with the victory, but Chevrolet with the Manufacturers victory for the whole season. Frank Ellis, he got the Chevrolet right up to the front again, championship.
Absolutely. We're very proud. It's our 3rd consecutive Manufacturers Championship, and we really have to thank Jack Baldwin, who has up to this point gotten us most of the points this year, but it really is a team effort.
All right, that Drivers' Championship, Baldwin padding the lead, opens it up now to a 9-point advantage over Scott Sharp. Trans Am competition continues to be fantastic at any venue we go to across the country, and now Fellows has become a 2-time winner this year, as well as Baldwin and Sharp. We'll see you next at Mid-Ohio. For Derek Daly and Jan Beekes, I'm Gary Gerald. So long.